Hi, everybody. Hope you all had a happy holiday and you got to go visit and see loved ones. We are into our next year of webinars, and we have a great lineup for everybody. Let's see, I'm gonna wait until some people are coming in. So I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about it. We have, of course, fairy gardens. We have, oh, let's see. Let me see really quick what else we have. I think we've got the next week is Michael Kane, Dr. Michael Kane, with the his story of the ghost orchid, because he is one of the world's foremost experts and has a lab, or used to have a lab that dealt with ghost orchids. And so he's going to tell us his whole story about that. And then we've got top 16 household plants. We've got nature journaling, since a lot of you asked for that again. Green stormwater infrastructure for homeowners. So if you've got some, spaces in your yard that flood constantly, you'll definitely want to look at that one. Beginning hydroponics, residential irrigation overview. And because so many of you asked last year, we are going to do Ask an Expert. I will ask you for questions when it gets a little closer, and I will find experts to answer those questions. And then basic plant propagation. So those are some of the topics that we have this year. If you're interested in looking at them, it is floridafriendlylandscaping.com. And then you go to the resource tab and then homeowner webinar series. Be aware this year, you have to, I believe it was the same last year, you have to sign up for each webinar individually. So, and you'll get a receipt in the mail that says how to join us when the time comes. So let me just say hello and welcome to Florida Friendly Landscaping, our homeowner webinar series. This is a series given every third Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern. My name is Jen Marvin, and I'm the Florida Friendly for Home Landscape statewide coordinator here in Gainesville. And today we'll talk to Eva Pavone, and we're going to speak about fairy gardens. And she's going to tell us how to make fairy gardens and what they're all about. So what I want to say first is I completely apologize for the difficulty registering at the beginning of the new year. There are a lot of moving parts to planning this webinar series, a lot of different people helping me out. So we're working out the kinks. That was one of the kinks, and I'm hoping that that's the only one. So if that ever happens again, always go to floridafriendlylandscaping.com and the home webinar series, and you can sign up from there. Let's see, your microphones have been muted. If you have questions, please type them in the chat box, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Please stick around until the end of the presentation to take the survey. It helps me give you the kind of programming you like and lets us all know how we're doing. So like I said, our next presentation will be on February 20th with Dr. Michael Kane speaking about the ghost orchid. Let's see, this again is also at 11 a.m. Eastern. It is my pleasure to introduce Eva Pavone. Eva, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and then go ahead and start your presentation?
Yes, good morning, and thank you for spending your coffee break. I will say your morning coffee break with me. My name is Eva Maria Pavon, and I am located in Osceola County, Florida. If you don't know where is Osceola, I will tell you that we share Disney's backyard. So we're right in the center of Florida, and we're one of the biggest counties in the state. So if you want to come and join us, visit, just come to our office and ask for me, and I will have a little present for you. I have been in extension for many years, and before extension, I worked with the parks, with the theme parks. That was my dream job, to be a horticulturist at the parks, and I did it for a few years, and then I've been in extension for many years now. So with that, I want to start with the fairy garden. So fairy gardens, oh, let me see this. You know, this is there you go. I am also the residential horticulture agent and the master gardener coordinator. So if you have any gardening questions, you can call us, and at the end of the presentation is the phone number. But also, depending where you are, each county in Florida has an extension services that you can utilize for your gardening questions. So fairy gardens is, we're going to talk here and we're going to mix the science with the magic. Okay, so you have to understand that there is a lot of science in gardening, but there is also a lot of magic when we're talking about fairy gardens. Okay, so there is a little history about the fairy gardens, how they started. We can trace it back to different cultures. Everything, especially here in the United States, we can start tracing some of the fairy gardens from the 1800s, when the Japanese garden tradition started here with the bonsais. So when they started the bonsais, the small trees, and that is when kind of that fairy garden started here in the United States, and people started thinking about small scale magical gardens. Then in the 1900s, the British nursery owner, Anne Ashbury, also was one of the persons that started the fairy gardens. Okay, and she is a very well-known horticulturist, a gardener a British gardener. Then we also had the folkloric influence from the Germanic or the Celtic folklore. So, and today the fairy gardens, the fairy gardens were outdoors because, you know, fairies cannot come into your house. So they let them come inside. Okay, so, but right now we can use the fairy garden inside or outside. Okay, so we will talk about both of them here, how you can create the fairy gardens for the inside and for the outside. Okay, so what is the difference between miniature versus fairy garden? There is a difference. Fairy gardens are to attract fairies. That's it. Okay, so if you're creating a fairy garden, it's because you want that magic into your garden. Fairy gardens are to create that space for the fairies to come and have fun in your garden. Miniature gardens are just a smaller scale of a landscaping, okay? So there is a difference. Miniature gardens don't attract fairies, although the fairies may visit that garden, but the fairy gardens are created with the purpose of attracting the fairies into your garden. So they can be combined or they can be transformed, but there is a difference between the two. What is the meaning? Fairy comes from the Italian word fate. And if you're Italian, please do not kill me for the pronunciation. I probably said it in Spanish. So fate was the name given to fairy ladies who were guests at the Sherisons and who were called upon to bless the child. And then from the French language, the word fae, and added airy, meaning one of being enchanted. Okay, so that's where the fairy gardens word comes from. The definition of fairy gardens are miniature landscapes that bring the enchanted of nature into our homes and gardens. So how we can create these small gardens to bring that enchanted, that magic, to have fun and to convert our gardens into something different. Also in the history that I was reading and I've been learning about the fairy gardens, one of the things that they mention is, you know, how we can create our backyard that is not just plants, how we can add some other decoration, and how we can have more fun in our garden, and fairy garden is one of them. So what are the components of a fairy garden? And this is where the fun begins, and the imagination is your imagination, is your space. And this is just the basic of what do you need when you're doing a fairy garden. So containers. If you're doing this outside, so we're going to start with talking about outside, and then we will talk eventually how you can start with something small, just like a dish plate. We will talk about that at the end. But outside, what we want to do is a foundation of the garden. So a container, it will be like your one area in your garden, and I will show you pictures later, that you can start in a space in your garden and start with that. Okay, so that container will be the foundation. It can be the flower bed, it can be a pot, a wooden box, or any other container with good drainage. Okay, and I forgot that word there. So you need to make sure that you find the correct size to make sure that fits the space available. Okay, that the right size that provide enough room to fit all the plants that you want and the decoration. So one of the things that you need to look is, what is the space I want to turn into a fairy garden, and how big the container needs to be, or how small. Okay, so you need to plan ahead. Plants, and this is one of the things that you're here at the Florida friendly program, you know, that we always talk about the right plant, right place. And doesn't matter if it's a fairy garden or what we're talking about, but with plants, we always have to say right plant, right place. So in a fairy garden, because we are attracting the fairies, we want to start with plants that stay small. Okay, so you want to consider also the water requirements, the light requirements, and choose the plants with the same condition, that they need the same. So if your fairy garden is going to be under a tree, or is going to be in a corner in your porch and doesn't have a lot of lights, you need to choose plants that are in the same, you know, that they don't need a lot of lights. Also, you cannot mix succulents with ferns. Okay, so because succulents need a different soil requirement, and they also need different water requirements. So you need to consider what you're choosing, and then you need to decide, okay, my fairy garden is going to be all succulents, and then go from there. Okay, or my fairy garden is going to be herbs, and then you go from there. So that is one thing that is very important when you're choosing your plants, when you're talking about fairy gardens. Plant selection. What we need to consider when we're selecting the plants, we need to consider texture, okay, because that is going to give you some other magic into that garden. Colors, again, similar growth habits. Size, because if you have a plant that is going to be 6 feet tall and you're trying to keep a fairy garden small, that is not the right plant for your garden. Okay, so the nutrient needs, especially because if you need to apply any fertilizer, you want to make sure all the plants around that garden needs the same fertilizer needs. Okay, and then you also can add some edible plants like herbs, so you can have a herb garden and turn that into fairy garden, or you know, add some decoration into your fairy garden that will add extra to your edible garden. You need to add a pathway. Why? Because that adds funds to your garden. That provides the direction to your garden. So when the fairies are flying around your garden, they see that pathway and they're like, oh, there is something for me there. So how you can create that pathway? You can use small pebbles, small stepping stone, tiny sticks. So you don't need to buy anything. You can just go to the garden, especially if you have little ones in your house, like kids, grandkids, neighbors, nieces and nephews. Just go to the backyard and find those little wooden sticks, little rocks, and then you can create the path for the fairies to find the garden. the path can be like curved or can be straight. So is your, like, I don't like anything straight, so I like to have everything in curves, because for me, if it's not perfectly straight, that will drive me crazy. So I try to always do like the curves. That makes me feel much better. And that is what is gonna lead the ferries to the miniature houses, the seating areas, or other fun spaces that you are creating to the ferries. So the pathway is very important. And if you use small pebbles and you want to buy them, they come in different colors, and that can also add some color to your garden. You can also, if you have like stepping stone, you can color them and create many other patterns into that pathway too. You can add mini furniture and other accessories. There is many things, and there is books that they show you how to do it yourself. Okay, so like you can go into your backyard and find a little piece of wood and create the little furniture. So a fairy garden needs the furniture because the fairies are flying constantly and they need to sit down and rest. Okay, so what you can add tiny furniture, garden accessories, small fairy figurines or houses, lanterns, and bird bath. So, and it's your fairy garden, so you can add whatever you want to add to your garden. Water features are very good. You can add small fountains, small waterfalls, or small ponds, and that is going to add tranquility to the garden, okay? So one of the things is that will also attract the fairies into your garden because they also want to rest. They also want to have that, that peaceful moment into your garden. Use natural elements, okay? And then you also, in the fountains, the waterfalls, or that small ponds that you're creating, you can also add some pebbles to create a more natural look into your garden. Creating and designing. This is a very, very important part of this whole fairy garden adventure, okay? Choose a theme. And we will see some of the themes eventually in one of the pictures. So I will show you different themes and I will tell you which one is my favorite. Plan on paper. So like any other of, of our Florida friendly landscaping classes, we tell you all the time, you need to plan ahead, okay? Because if you're planning on paper, you're looking at your garden or your ditch garden, depending how you want to do this fairy garden. If you want to start small or you want to start big, you want to create this on paper first. Why? Because you're going to see the space that you have available. Then you are going to identify the soil conditions. You're going to identify the light condition, the water requirements. Then you're selecting your plants. And then you can go and buy your plants. Okay, because it's now we're going to see the corner in our garden. We're going to go crazy and go to the garden centers, buy everything that we can find. And when we get home, it's like, oh, I bought too many plants. I'm guilty of that. So we need to make sure we plan on paper first. Then you're going to select your plants, select your decorations. Okay, so and that is based on your theme, depending what you're doing. Or you don't have to select your decoration if you're building your own decoration, okay? So remember proportions. Fairies are very small, so you don't want to have a big bench because they're not going to sit there. They're going to feel that is too big for them. So you want to make sure you keep the proportions small for the fairies to come and visit. You can add some fairies just for the decoration or gnomes. I love gnomes. And then you have to do the maintenance, okay? So remember that part because planting your garden and not doing the maintenance is not gonna look good and the fairies are not gonna come back. Lightning. You can create a magical ambience. You can use some of the solar power lanterns or string fairy lights across the yard to emphasize the key point and light up the pathways. And that is to attract the fairy gardens at night. And for you to also, like if you would like to sit outside and look at your garden with some like very light lightning. But I will encourage that you do the solar ones, so that way you're not using a lot of energy. Natural elements, the garden will feel more genuine and more natural, and it will be probably more attractive to the fairies if you use natural elements like bark, moss, rocks, twigs. Like, just go to the garden, just enjoy looking for all the elements to create your own garden. Utilize them to do the borders, you know, maybe the pathways, or to give like more the entire design of your fairy garden a more deep in texture, a more natural way into your garden, and that is going to be beautiful. Caring for your garden is very important, because I don't know how many of you, but I get so many calls in my office that, oh, I spent $3,000. I paid this gardener to come and do the garden, and it's destroyed in 2 years. And when I start asking a lot of questions about how was the watering, how was the maintenance, they didn't do anything for 2 years. So plants need love, okay? So you want to make sure that after you identify what are the water requirements for all the plants that you're selecting, that you do the regular watering, okay? So we will encourage that you choose plants that are, they don't need a lot of water. But if you are creating this fairy garden in a lower area in your backyard that holds a lot of water, then you're selecting the right plants for that corner, okay? But you want to make sure that you do the regular watering. If you use any fertilizer, make sure that you use a slow release fertilizer, and very important that you always read the label, okay? The label is the law, and it's very important that we always follow the recommendations on that label, okay? Sometimes we need to do some pruning because the plants are gonna overgrow and it's not gonna look good. So pruning is used to remove any of the dead plants or dead flowers. Also, if you want to promote some flower in your fairy garden, and you need to do some pruning to sometimes to keep your garden in shape. Weeding, okay? Some of the plants, some of the gardens, if you leave big spaces, weeds are going to start growing, and then the fairies maybe don't want to come to your garden if you have a lot of weeds. So you want to make sure you do that maintenance and you do the weeding all the time. Pest control, the number one thing is that you need to identify the pest, okay? You need to identify that insects or that problem that is going on. If we do treatment without identifying the problem, is malpractice. So a lot of the insects that you find in the garden, they actually beneficial. So we need to find if these insects are actually friends of the fairies before you use any pest control. Okay, so very important is if you're using any pest control, is the number one thing is to identify the pest before we apply any pesticide. Okay, we want to monitor for air and light circulation. So, and that is where pruning comes. So if the plants are getting too big and there is not a lot of air circulation, you're going to start seeing some of the leaves are going to start dropping. They're going to start turning brown. And maybe that is the moment that you need to start maybe doing some pruning. Okay, and then you have to do regular cleaning. You have to go. Fairies don't like dirty houses. So you want to make sure that you go to the garden, you clean around, and then you maintain that garden clean for the fairies. So these are some of the examples of the fairy garden for outdoors. Okay, so I wanted to show you just very basic things, and I have 2 trees in my backyard that I'm going to do some of these tricks. I already have something in the office, but I want to add some of these other elements into my personal garden here. So here is something that is very small, very simple. There is not a lot of money invested there. I am sure that it was just something that it was already in the garden and they just add the elements. And if you look at this garden, it's just they added you know, the ladder in one area, the little house in the back, some kind of fun activities for the fairies, and that was it. Okay, so and then you let the fairies come and visit whenever they want. Okay, so if you look, that is a very natural. There's probably zero money invested into this little garden in the backyard. And it was, if you have little ones in your house, it's perfect. It's a perfect opportunity for the family to get together and build this garden from scratch, you know, and attract the fairies to the garden. Add some signage, fairy doors, like you can add signs that say welcome fairies, you can say fairy garden. It is important that we let the fairies know that this is a garden, they are welcome. Okay, so again, you can buy these signs. If you go to all, like if you do search online and said fairy gardens signs, you're gonna have hundreds of them available. But you can also make it yourself and make this more fun, you know. So you can have, and if you look in the back, they have little houses also. I think I can point here, like you can see this one here, and you can see those are just little doors that were added into the garden after the signage. Here is other few very basics. You know, if you have a tree that it had to be cut down, that is a great spot for adding a door for the fairies, because that tree is not longer, you know, it was cut for a reason, but then the fairies can come and visit and live there. So you can add some addition, you know, the doors, some decoration into the garden, and, you know, invite the fairies into your garden without investing a lot of money. So just that little area, and let the fairy find your garden. And the last one is you just add the little fairy into your garden, and you don't have to add a lot more of decoration, just a little fairy, maybe a little door, a little sign, and that's it. If you want to start small. Here's also other examples of little things fairy likes. They need to hide from the sun and sometimes from the rain. So adding a little mushrooms here and there, that will help them to find those spaces when it's raining, for them to be safe when they're flying and they're tired. Also, the right side, my right side, is another fairy just you know, swim, that she's having fun in that little garden there. Here is one that I love, that is just they added the doors into a established tree. One disclosure I will say is, do not nail anything into that tree, because we know that if you do that, that will kill the tree. So it's just something that you're gonna put, and the fairies do not harm the tree, but the nails and any other harm that you do to the tree, that will harm the tree. Okay, but you can add a little decoration into a tree that is established, and let the fairy leaves in there. And the green one is just a little house that was added into the garden and just placed there for the fairies to find the place and rest at night. Okay. Here's another way that you can have this in the porch, is that you're adding pots and you're creating the decoration, and you can connect the different pots. Again, you still have to have the plants, they have the same light requirement, the same water requirements, but you can have this in the porch, like the front porch, the back porch, and you know, create the fairy gardens in a small way. It will add decoration and some fun into your garden, but it's not a big one. So this is a way that you can start small and you can create the garden. So let's talk about the small scale gardens. And this is for those that you like me, I try to start everything small. And then if I have success with something small, then I decide to go bigger, okay? So, and I had a small fairy garden in my office, and it was in front of my office. And now we're doing a bigger one in our garden, in our demonstration garden. And then I'm bringing that to my home garden too. So here are the small scale fairy garden information, and also how to create that ditch garden in a small way, okay? So what we need if we're doing a small scale fairy garden, you're gonna need potting soil. But one thing is, if you're doing your fairy garden with succulents, you're gonna need the succulent or cactus soil because you need a better drainage, okay? If you're using herbs and you're using other plants, then you need the regular potting soil. That is very important. You need a ditch garden or a pot with drainage. And the pots don't need to be perfect. You can have broken pots, and it's like, what I'm going to do with this broken pot? A fairy garden. Okay, that's how I made the one in my office. And I have a bigger one that I've been thinking how I'm going to make this one. You need a watering can, but the reality is, if you have a small garden, what you need is one of these water bottles, these little bottles that are in the middle of that picture. Because you only need to water the root system, okay? So with this bottle, you are able to water just the root area, and you don't need to water the leaves, okay? You're gonna need a small shovel, small pruning tools, especially if we're talking about a ditch garden type of fairy garden. And you're gonna need the small gardening tools. One thing is that you need to be careful, because if you use big tools, you can hurt the fairies and they're not gonna get back to your garden. Then you're gonna need plants, and you're gonna need decorations. Again, plants. And this is one of the things that doesn't matter what class I'm teaching, vegetable classes, fruit trees, fairy garden, ditch garden, this goes I mention this all the time. Plants need to be together with the plants that are together. They need to have the same water requirements. We need to think about the final size of these plants, especially if we're putting them in a small ditch garden. And then you can choose different color and textures, and that is going to give you that attraction, that beautiful interaction of colors into your garden. What are the basics? Okay, so location. If you're doing a fairy garden in a ditch garden, are you gonna put that inside the house, or you're gonna put that outside of the house? And when I mean outside of the house, is in the porch, the front porch, where you're gonna put that, because depending on that is the plants that you're gonna choose for that garden. Okay, you're gonna decide the theme or a story. Okay, so I like gnomes. So if I'm doing a fairy garden, I will call it more like a magical garden, because I like the gnomes, and I will create my entire garden into like it's an interaction between the gnomes and the fairies. But there is a lot of different themes. You can do the fairy garden, like the different things, and I will show you some pictures. And make a plan. Again, doesn't matter if it's a small garden or a big garden. It's much better if you always plan ahead before you start buying or before you start planting. Remember, leave space for the fairies to dance. They need their space, and these apply for the outside and for the inside, okay? And for the big garden or for the small garden, they need space. They need to have fun. They need to invite their friends. So you need to leave the space. You can have some fairies, and then that is gonna help the fairies, the real fairies, to find the home. Okay, so, but remember, you don't need to add those figurines, okay? They will find it. The furniture can be from natural elements, or you can buy them. And I will tell you, you can find them anywhere. When I was teaching, I did this class. It was a workshop, so it was in person. And after the class, we did, everybody made their own fairy garden in my class. I found the decoration, the furniture in every store. So it is available, and then also you can make your own too. Find a focal point. What is the focal point? Can be a plant, can be a sculpture, can be a bigger decoration pieces, up to you. When I did this with the youth and with the adults, because I did 2 different classes, it was so interesting and so fabulous to see how all the different personalities show when they were doing their fairy gardens, because some people use the furniture as the focal point, some other use the plants, some other use the rocks. Some of the kids may actually bigger like rock pieces with the pebbles I offered them. So it was interesting to see it, and it's your imagination. It is your fairy garden, and they're going to be your fairies. So it's however you want your fairy garden to look. Okay, combine the plants with height and texture. So that is very important, that you use the plants on your favor when you are planting. Create a village. Okay, so if you don't have a lot of space, just add doors and windows to a trunk like you see earlier. Do not use nail when you're placing them. Add a welcome signs either to the small garden or to the big plant, or to the big one if you're doing your entire backyard. And then find different plants, and you can add pebbles with messages. Okay, so like you can say welcome fairies, and you can create, you know, whatever you want to add to your garden. Here are some small scale examples, and this is pretty cool to see. Okay, so here is a very small one that if you want to start with something super small, you can have, you know, a container that you had at home, and you can create your small fairy garden, put it in a corner, and that's it. Okay, so I love this one. It's very simple. This is what I have in the office, something very similar to this one. It's not this one, but it's very, very similar with a broken pot. And that's what I made. Here's one that is only have like, what, 5, 6 plants, and the rest is just pebbles, a little decoration, some moss, and, you know, it's perfect for a backyard or for a centerpiece in your porch. I love this one. It was just an old, probably an old coffee cup that they had it. Just added the rocks that said welcome fairies, little mushrooms for them to rest, and a chair, and the bird houses for them. So very simple. One thing is, remember, you will have to do the drainage if it's a coffee cup, and you need to make the drainage. Okay, I love this one. Is 100% made from just things from the backyard. If you look at it, is they cut a tree. There was a tree that was cut there, and then what they did is on top of the stump, they put some of the rocks and some seeds around and create like a campsite for the fairies. And that is perfect. That is something very simple. Just the time that you invest there was looking for the supplies, and then the imagination is what it counts. Maybe the only thing that it was brought, it was the rock that said dream. But then you don't even have to do that. What you can do is just find a marker and write it on a rock that you find in your backyard. Signs are very important, and is the messages that you want to send to the fairies and to, you know, things that you want to remember all the time. So you can add little signs into the gardens. And if you look, this is probably a wood box that it was used, and they created the garden. One thing that is very important, fairy gardens need to have plants, okay? So if you look in the back, there is some plants, and you see here the pebbles, and it is just a little sign. This one, they is probably a store-bought one, but you can make the sign yourself too. Here's another one that is very small. If you see, it's only probably 3 different plants, just the fairies that were added, and you know, some decoration, and it's a perfect centerpiece or for a corner in your yard. Love this one. This one is probably one of my favorite ones. It's a camping site. You know, fairies also likes to go camping, and some fairies are more fancy than others. So I think this is lovely. This is one of my favorite ones that I found when I was doing the research for these classes. And it's perfect. You know, it's also in the fairy garden world, you can attract the fairies that are like you. If you like camping, this is what you want to add. So you can create your own fairy garden to attract the fairies that you want to attract to your garden. Here is another miniature one. This is probably a super small one that they add some of the succulents and cactus to attract fairies. You just have to be careful, especially if you're working with little ones with the cactus, and that they don't get hurt with the plants. Here is another one that are super small. I never seen this one. I was gonna try it. I probably will try it this spring to see how it works, but it's just very small one terrariums that you can have and create. I think they are perfect projects to do with small kids in a classroom and create this fairy garden fantasy in the classroom, or, you know, with the grandkids, the kids at home and all that. I think they're perfect, very simple. It's just moss, rocks, and some decoration. And then you can have the mason jars. They come small, but they also come the half-gallon one, and that probably is perfect to start one of these fairy gardens. So that is a very cute one that can be used for presents, for maybe birthday decoration. It is just beautiful. I made something similar to this. So when you are around a garden center and they have broken pots, just ask them if you can take that broken pot with you, and then, you know, have some fun. Let the imagination work, and then create a fairy garden that is made from broken pots, you know, and just add some decorations, some plants, and that's it. And you can put that in a corner. I have one of this like right in front of my door and in the office for the fairies to watch my office when I was not in the office. So very fun to do. Right now I have a bigger pot in front of my office that I need to work on it and create one of these fairy gardens. And actually one of our volunteers is going to be working on a fairy garden. Actually it's going to call the fantasy garden, because we want the boys to also come and visit. And instead of it's going to be fairies and gnomes and dinosaurs and all that. So she's working on that of a old fountain that we don't have in the garden anymore. So stay tuned and send me an email maybe in 2-3 months, and I can show you a picture of how that garden looks like. Okay, so planting steps. I know that this is probably one of the things that you want to know what to do when you're doing the fairy garden in a smaller scale and you're using like a pot or a ditch garden. So what you're going to do is put halfway. So depending how deep is that garden, you're going to fill with potting soil around like halfway. Then you're going to use a little bit of slow release fertilizer. Always follow the instructions. Put some water mixed together. Place the plants or the plant. Maybe the pot or the ditch garden is small enough that you only have space for one plant. And then you're going to add more soil, but you want to leave at least 1 inch from the top. Okay. And after that, you're going to decorate. You can use moss, you can use the furniture, you can use the pebbles, you can use the wood, whatever you want to use to decorate. Like, remember the pictures I show you. Watering, keep your fairy garden water well. Remember, as plants grow, they will need more water. So the bigger they are, they're going to need more water left often. but as they're smaller and they're establishing, they're gonna need less water more often, okay? So that is something that you need to watch and decide what you're doing as your garden is growing and is getting established. Okay, so you wanna make sure that you check the moisture on that soil and water in the morning, okay? Even when it's raining, sometimes, especially if they're inside, they're not gonna get the water. So you need to make sure you water in the morning. That's where we wanna water, and the leaves don't need water, only the root system. Fertilizer, always use a slow release fertilizer. They sell them in the garden centers. There's many different brands out there, but I will suggest that always use that one, okay? And use fertilizers based on the type of plant. So for example, if you have miniature roses in your fairy garden, you need to use roses fertilizer. If you have succulents, you need to use succulent fertilizer. So you need to identify your plants and decide the type of fertilizer. Okay, and always read the label and follow the instructions. That's very important. Maintenance for both garden inside and outside. Trimming is a special part of the garden maintenance. You need to make sure you go once in a while, do some prunings. I know it's hard. I don't like to prune plants, but if we want to keep it in a shape, in a way that the fairies feel welcome and they're coming back to your garden, you want to make sure that your garden looks good, okay? Some plants are going to need more maintenance than other. And if the plants need to deteriorate, you can dispose those plants and replant something else, okay? Or sometimes you can, after the winter is over, you can do a severe pruning depending on what is the plant. So you always need to read about the plant and learn about that specific plant before you do that pruning, okay? But plants will grow back. Here are my references. And one thing is, I want you to use your imagination, have fun. One of the best things about the fairy gardens is that it's gonna promote that imagination, is gonna help you to use your senses, because then you're gonna start thinking, it's like, what I'm smelling, are the fairies are gonna smell this? So what are the textures of all these plants? Like how the fairies are gonna feel when I plant this? So have fun. Invite them into your garden, and remember, you always have to, because we're talking about gardening and horticulture, you always have to keep the science. What is the science behind the fairy garden? Is select the right plant for the right place, always the right watering, using the right amount of fertilizer, identify your pests, and then with that, you can have fun and have all the fairies in your garden. So, but remember that we have to combine the two to have success in our garden. So with that, I want to invite you, and we're going to go to questions if you have some questions. So in February, and I forgot to put the days here, but the week of February, I will tell you exactly the day right now. We're having a back to gardening, so we're having a lot of different classes online. February 19th to the 23rd. I do this back to gardening week, and it's a back-to-back series of classes, and we have everything from backyard birding, hydroponics. We have many classes, and you can either use the QR code to go to the website to register and see all the different classes that we have available. It is a week full of virtual and in-person. The thing is, I'm in Osceola County, so if you are close to me, you're welcome to come to the in-person classes, but it's not, you're welcome to join us to all the virtual classes that are going to be at 11 a.m. and at 3:30 p.m. And we're going to have a different type, a lot of different agents teaching these classes. Also, I want to invite you, if you are in the area in Osceola County, to our plant market. And one thing I always said, if you come to the plant market, you're going to ask for me. My name is Eva Maria. And I always have a present to those people that I meet virtually and they come and see me. Okay, so during the plant market, we're also going to have some classes that day, and we have like 40 vendors that are going to be available with different plants, and you can learn in the classes. Like, we're going to have plans for pollinators, edible landscaping, and then the best part is that whatever you're going to learn, you can go right outside and get some plants and then plant materials from our vendors. So with that, I take questions. Let me look at the chat, and I'd be happy to check the different questions.
I can give you the questions if you'd like. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. First, somebody asked me if this will be repeated at 3 p.m. No, we only do this webinar once live, and then you'll have to wait for the recording, which will be either on your YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel, or on our homepage that will link you to our YouTube channel. And that's generally about a week from now. Let's see here. Somebody said, I've been finding small fairy and gnome and tiny furnishings in dollar stores now that the holiday items are clearing out. So that's a good thing. Can you please show the references, the screen with the references again?
Yes. And I also have some books that, but the books are in the other room, so I don't want to leave you. But there's very, very good books out there that even give you step by step how to make the furniture. So there is a lot of different resources on how to make the different the furniture.
Okay. Do you know of any garden creation resources for 2 to 4 year olds?
Not really, because what I used was for the 4-H members, so it was more like 6 and up. But I will say for the little ones, first, their hands are smaller, so you may want to get supplies that are a little bigger, so it's easier for them to manage, and start very simple. Okay, like I will say, compare the Legos. To give you an example, the Legos for the younger kids are bigger and they bring less pieces. So that's what you may want to do with a fairy garden with the smaller kids, like bigger pieces, less. And then as they're growing, then you can make them smaller, because, you know, I mean, because that will help. I was going to tell you, I'm very grumpy. I need bigger stuff because I'm not that good with my hands, and I'm very small. So
Okay. There's a good comment. If there are water features, they need to be kept clean. And also for indoor gardens, be careful to choose pet-friendly plants and items.
yes.
Okay, and let's see. Becky, if you could put the YouTube channel link up on the chat, that would be great. For our
I will
YouTube
add,
channel.
if you have the water features in your garden, I will say, especially during the mosquito seasons, you may want to add the BT
Mosquito pellet.
treatments.
Yeah.
And you know, because come on, the fairies don't want to compete with the mosquitoes. You know, if they're flying into your fairy garden, the mosquitoes may don't want them, so we need to keep the mosquito low.
Sure.
So it's one thing that we want to keep that clean. You're correct on that.
Okay. Let's see. What was the site to sign up for February 19th through 23rd? I believe it's back up a few messages on your web chat or on your chat screen. I believe it's eventbrite.com. You'll see the link. That's probably like 10 or so messages
I posted
back.
again.
Let's see, very interesting class. Don't forget that there's a native hibiscus called a fairy hibiscus. Let's see, when might there be an in-person class?
I actually, if you keep eye on our Eventbrite, in my county, I will have a workshop that is a fairy garden workshop. So if you want to come and build one with me, I cannot remember the month, but it's gonna be on a Monday, and I have a fun workshop every month starting in March. And it's everything from fairy gardens, cocodamas, ditch garden. We're gonna have different programs. So if you're local, I welcome you to come to the garden. Or if you're not local, I will suggest that you can reach out to your agent and ask them to invite me to your county, and I'd be happy to
There
go
you
and do
go.
it.
That would be great. Let's see. Okay, Becky put where the YouTube channel is, and Eva put also the Eventbrite for the for her webinars. Also, somebody said, please consider our pollinators when choosing pesticides. Let's see here. Where would the workshops be posted? Probably on your county website, right?
Yes.
So if you all want to type in or in Google, say Osceola County Extension Office, and there should be a schedule up there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where you would find it. Eva is the Osceola County Extension agent, and as we do all the time, we use people from around the state. So there might not always be one near you, but she said, you know, as she said, ask your local agent, and that's actually for finding any of the agents. Type your county and then county extension office. And then you can find your own county and see what classes are available there. Any other questions from anybody? Let's see. Is there a charge for the workshop?
Yes, because when you come to that workshop, we supply all the materials for the participants to go home with a small fairy garden.
Great. All right. Well, that looks like the last one. Eva, thank you so much for coming and telling us about fairy gardens. It's a magical start to a brand new year. So we hope you have a great day. And everybody who's listening, have a wonderful day. And I will see you next month.
Thank you.